Have you ever noticed how the same type of person keeps showing up in different bodies? The faces change, but unfortunately, the lessons don't. You fall for the same energy again, again, and again. And part of you knows it's not random, it's familiar. That's the pull of the South Node, the karmic point in your chart that reveals your past life energy and the relationship patterns you're here to outgrow. So, in this video, I am going to be talking about the South Node and what it has to say about your relationship karma. So, if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and sound therapist, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you're new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. And speaking of welcome back to Love and Astrology 30 Days to Understand Your Cosmic Chemistry. So today we're beginning a brand new week focused on relationship phases and patterns, the cycles you repeat, the karmic connections you attract, and the soul lessons that shape who you love and how you love. So every night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're breaking down another piece of the relationship journey, the past life patterns you're here to release, the emotional habits you've inherited, interestingly enough, and the soul level growth you're being called into. You can follow along by taking the free seduction style quiz, which is linked below. And if you want to start reading your chart from a deeper, transformative lens, then join the charted waitlist. That's where I teach you how to decode these cycles for yourself. All right, so today's video is all about the South Node and what it has to say about your relationship karma. The South Node denotes what we incarnate into this life with. Sometimes it could really be like our emotional baggage. Other times it's just the lessons and the karmic cycles that we've carried with us. And the South Node in your natal chart can detail all of that. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what the South Node has to say about your relationship story. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So, of course, to begin, I'd like you to think about and meditate on this core idea. The South Node represents the energy you've already mastered and the patterns you unconsciously repeat until you're ready to evolve. In astrology, the South Node shows your karmic past, what feels easy, familiar, and safe. It also reveals the traits, people, and relationship dynamics that can keep you stuck if you don't grow beyond them. I like to think of the South Node as our default. When push comes to shove, when we are challenged beyond our comfort zone, we typically gravitate toward the characteristics of our South Node. Okay. And it's not a bad thing. You'll have some astrologers saying that, South Node, you've got to move away from it. You've got to, and to a certain extent, you do, but you're not moving away from it because it's a bad thing. It's what you already know, what what's inherent within you, your comfort zone, if you will. And by contrast, your north node is your destiny, where you're headed. So that's what you've got to grow into. But the thing about the south node is that it can often be, I like to think of it as like a whirlpool of quicksand. If you get stuck in that, you're likely going to go round and round and round, repeating the same cycles over and over again. And in love, there's no worse feeling than that, right? Especially if we've been experiencing the same type of relationships that we no longer want to experience. A lot of that can be delineated and can be denoted by the South Node in your natal chart. Now, it's important to comprehend at the outset that not every person's South Node will speak to their relationship story. It depends on the house placement of your South Node. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you've got your South Node in the fourth house. Okay. The South Node may have a lot to do with your sense of security. It may even have to do with the relationships that are related to your immediate family, right? Those are still relationships, but obviously this series is called Love and Astrology. So we're really taking a hard look at romantic relationships. But that South Node may not, really affect your love story or your relationship story. As opposed to, let's say, if you had your South Node in the seventh house of marriage and partnerships. Oh, yeah, that South Node will definitely speak to your relationship story. So I want to make that clear at the outset because you may have a South Node that has nothing to do with your romantic relationships. And so that bears mentioning so that you don't try to make something fit that doesn't apply. All right. So let's begin by talking about the South Node by sign. All right. And this really denotes what you bring from the past. Remember, I said it's like I want you to think of the South Node as like the suitcase and the luggage that you bring into this life when you incarnate, right? At some point, you can decide to let go of that luggage. On the other hand, you may be carrying this luggage with you your entire life, all right? Not to be too dramatic, but that's really a good way to think about it, if I say so myself. But in any event, let's delineate these South Nodes by sign. All right, so let's say you've got an Aries South Node. You've been the independent one. Now you're learning partnership. Okay. So that Aries and Libra axis. So if you've got your South Node in Aries, it means you have your North Node in Libra. That would directly affect your love story, no matter what house your South Node and North Node are in, because your South Node and North Node are on the axis of partnership. Okay, so again, Aries South Node, you've mastered being independent, you've mastered being autonomous, right? Now, your challenge in this life is to grow comfortable in partnership. Okay, let's say you have Taurus as your South Node. You've clung to comfort. Now you're learning to trust and surrender. And especially if Taurus falls in like your seventh house or your fifth house, this would directly impact your relationship, your romantic relationship story. Right? Moving right along, let's say you've got a Gemini South Node. You've lived in your head and now you're learning depth and truth. Cancer South Node. You've nurtured others and now you're learning emotional boundaries. Leo South Node. You've been the star of the show and the main character. But now in this lifetime, you're learning humility and collaboration. Virgo South Node. You've mastered service and perfectionism. Now in this lifetime, you're learning faith and flow. Libra South Node. Now, just like I said before with Aries South Node, whether you've got an Aries South Node or a Libra South Node, there's definitely an inherent energy signature of relationships because Libra and Aries are the relationship and partnership axis. All right. So if you've got Libra as your South Node, you've been the peacemaker. Now you're learning self assertion. If you've got Scorpio as your South Node, you've mastered intensity and now you're learning peace and stability. Sagittarius South Node, you've lived for adventure and now you're learning discernment. Capricorn South Node, you've built empires and now you're learning to trust your intuition. Aquarius South Node, you've led communities and now you're learning individuality and how to be the main character. And then finally, if you've got a Pisces South Node, you've lived in the spiritual and the esoteric, and now you're learning structure and grounding. The South Node may feel like home, but not all homes are meant to be lived in forever. Right? This is very much what I was talking about before. Think of the South Node, the characteristics of the South Node as the baggage, the luggage that you bring with you when you incarnate into this life. For some, that baggage, that luggage can be comfort. Again, you default to it when pushed out of your comfort zone. But at some point, and it may not even be forever, but there are definitely some times in our lives where we've got to put that luggage down and we have to venture into the unknown and we have to venture into Or I should say, we have to venture outside of our comfort zone and move toward our north node. Okay, so that's definitely something to keep in mind when we're talking about the south node. Now, let's talk about the south node in terms of synastry. Okay, so when someone's south node is touching a planet or a point in your natal chart, and vice versa. So in synastry, the south node can denote karmic attraction and repetition. This is what I was talking about before, that sort of whirlpool of quicksand where if you have South Node synastry with someone, this could be where you keep feeling the same things, keep experiencing the same patterns. It's like life in your relationship is running on a loop. Okay. When one person's South Node connects to another person's personal planets or points in their natal chart, there's instant recognition. Okay. It feels like you've known them before. And energetically speaking, you probably have. These connections often bring unfinished business, lessons in balance, and a strong sense of we've done this dance before. Again, it's like same energy, different body. And what's really cool, especially if you're willing to open your mind a bit, this could have been someone that you had a relationship with in a past life, and not necessarily along the same lines. There have been people who were brother and sister in a past life, and now they are parent and child. Or they were parent and child in a past life, and now they are romantic partners. What remains the same is the karmic pattern, is the issues, or should I say, are the issues that they've dealt with. Now, here's the beauty of the South Node. Once you sort of overcome it, meaning once you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, once you're willing to put that luggage and that baggage down, you've graduated. Not just that, you perhaps have broken a karmic cycle and therefore won't experience it again, even with the same person. So, if you've been doing this merry-go-round with someone in a romantic relationship, when you're willing to put that South Node baggage down, you won't experience that anymore. And you may enter a new and more favorable time in your current relationship. And that's something to really think about. Um, but the first step with that is pattern recognition. You have to recognize that you're in this karmic loop. And the beauty of it is that even if you're not necessarily consciously recognizing this pattern, you could literally just look at your natal chart and look at your south node and see if the characteristics of your south node speak to this karmic loop that you are in. That can help you recognize it so that you can finally break it. Okay. Now, the goal here isn't to avoid these people, it's to grow beyond the pattern. It's not about the person, it's about the pattern. It's not to say, okay, scrap this person, scrap this relationship, regardless of who it is, right? It's about recognizing the pattern and breaking that. And like I said, once you break that pattern, you can probably have a better relationship with that person going forward. The South Node reminds you that what's familiar isn't always fulfilling. What fulfilled you at one point definitely may not continue to fulfill you going forward. It's like, have you ever experienced where, and I do this fairly regularly, so I definitely can speak to this. Every so often, I will have a love affair with toast and butter. I don't know what it is. Toasted hot bread with butter, like I just love it. And I'll go like having it every day for weeks. And then one day I'll just be over it. I'll be like, listen, I've had enough of this. I don't want it anymore. And then invariably, a couple of months later, I'll go back to toast and butter, right? That's kind of how you could think about the South Node, right? And at certain points in time, it is fulfilling. And this, I want to hone in on this particular concept. You don't have to let your South Node go for good. It does serve you. It's what you incarnated in this life with, right? So it's not like you just have to completely let it go and never rely on those characteristics again. It just may be that at some points in life, you got to drop it for a little bit, just like the toast. I love some hot butter toast, right? But then there are times, again, that I'm over it. So think about it in those terms and then examine your relationships and see if your South Node, or maybe even theirs, is keeping you in a karmic loop. That's your cue to break that cycle. Okay. All right. So now let's pause for a moment of reflection and self-inquiry. So here's your reflection for today. What patterns in love feel familiar, even when they no longer serve you? The South Node asks you to honor the past without living in it. This is about dropping that luggage, dropping that baggage. You don't have to do it forever. You can acknowledge what you incarnated into this life with. But especially if you are experiencing a karmic loop in your relationships, remember it's about honoring the past without living in it. So take the time to think about, meditate, and journal on that today. If you're curious about how these karmic patterns actually show up in your chart, start with the free seduction style quiz. It'll give you a clearer picture of your relationship energy so you can understand how you show up in relationships and then move on to any karmic patterns that you may be experiencing in those relationships. All right, if you're interested in taking the quiz, the link is in the description box below. And if you're ready to go deeper, if you're noticing patterns that feel bigger than compatibility, that's the work we do inside the blueprint. It's my private signature natal chart experience where I map out your relationship cycles, your soul lessons, and the partnership dynamics your chart is truly aligned with. Okay. And if you're interested in signing up for the blueprint, the first step is to book a free clarity call. That way we can decide whether the blueprint is right for you, and if so, how to get started. And so if you want to book that call, the link is in the description box below. You can also join the charted waitlist if you want to learn how to interpret these placements yourself. Okay. And so, if you're someone who wants some self paced study, you want to learn how to read your natal chart and maybe even other people's natal charts to precision, then my signature self paced course, Charted, is for you. Haven't launched it yet. I'll be launching it in the very near future. So, if you're interested in knowing when that drops, sign up for the waitlist. The link is in the description box below. And as always, you're definitely welcome inside Cosmic Collective, my private online community, where we dive into real relationship astrology every week during Cosmic Chemistry Fridays. All right. So, beyond going live in there every week, there's posts, there's a wonderful community, there's exclusive content. It's an amazing place and space where you can learn more about astrology and get access to more things. All right. And so, if you're interested in that, you can either scan the QR code that's on the screen or hit the link in the description box below. All right, my loves, so that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on the South Node and what it shows you about your relationship karma. Okay. Again, it's not the case that everybody's South Node is going to speak to their love life, but especially if you've got South Node in either Aries or Libra, or your South Node falls in your fifth house or your seventh house, those placements will definitely speak to your relationship karma. All right, so join me tomorrow where we'll discuss the North Node and how it shapes your destiny in love. You definitely don't want to miss that. So, like, subscribe, share, and set notifications so you'll be notified exactly when anything on my channel drops. All right, my loves, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.